Hey everyone, we're here today to look at a new mod that was put out recently by PinGraffix, and these are called Power Blades, and these are the game blades that go on the side of your pinball cabinet. And I reviewed these like a prototype probably a couple months ago, and it was the ones that had like a equalizer on it, and they were designed a little bit differently. These have definitely come a long way with what Joe and PinGraffix have done with design, which they look great now. They look good before, but now they look even better, actually. But they're a lot cleaner, and the design is really nice. I saw these in action at the pinball show in Allentown past week that went by, and these looked really great there. So Joe said to do a review and check them out on my game. So that's what I'm going to do today. And again, these are the game blades or power blades, and they have ribbon cables on the ends of them that connect to a power source that go inside your pinball machine that activate to the sound of the music inside your pinball machine. And there's like lightning bolts and stuff that light up with I guess LEDs that are embedded in this power blade. So basically, if we look at the back, this is the back of the power blade, and this is like the sticky strip that you need to take off to adhere to the back of your pinball cabinet. And like this black in here, I guess is where all the LEDs and everything are, and this black is like it's just a protectant layer to protect what's behind that. I believe the old prototypes didn't have this. I believe the LEDs were kind of more protruding out from the power blade, but this is like a more professional look and a lot cleaner. But again, the ones I reviewed were a prototype. So these look really great. I can't wait to get these put on my machine. But there's a ribbon cable on each end of these power blades that connect again like to a power source. Like I said before, there's one on the other end too. And the other parts to this this product goes into your cabinet, and this connects to the power source inside your pinball machine with a power connector here, and the ribbon cable would go here, and there's an extension that goes onto that, like a splitter, which goes into here, and then these two cables go to the ends of your power blades. So that would go into that and connect, and then you have a power source here, which again is another splitter that goes into this box, and this would go into the box itself, into this. And then these, I guess this one would go, or I guess this one probably the female, I would think. I think there's a male that comes out of the cabinet. I could be wrong. But one end goes into the pinball cabinet, and then the other is another like extension if you needed it for another mod or something you're going to put in your pinball machine. So it's like a open, part of the power source, so you could get another power cable in there if you needed it, and so it's just another splitter that would go in there. So again, next what we're going to do is we're going to install these power blades in my Metallica pinball machine and kind of go through the install process of how it's done and show how these work. And again, like these are installed somewhat like game blades that I've shown. I have videos online already on my Pinball Supernova YouTube channel that show the process of how to show game blades without having to take out your playfield. People have told me, oh, I take out my playfield and when I put in game blades, and there's really no need to do that. These you don't have to do it with, but regular game blades, I use the wet method. Spray them up with like soapy water, let the excess drip off, and just place them, and it gives you a lot of wiggle room. These are pretty, when I did the bar ones, the prototype of these originally, they were fairly easy to install too. There was some wiggle room. I just kind of like placed it lightly on the cabinet, then I got my placement, and then really like stuck them down. But no need for water and soap on these. We're going to do these to dry method. But again, you peel off this backing sticky tape and then adhere it to the cabinet of your pinball machine. So let's go and install these on my Metallica pinball machine, and we'll go through the process and see how they actually work. Okay, so now we're here with the power blade, which is here. So I took all the sticky, like the tape off the back, so the sticky's, you know, showing. So you want to peel all that yellow tape off to give you the stickiness on the back of the power blade. So again, you want to take this ribbon cable and kind of in the front tuck it into the cabinet so it doesn't get in the way or tangled up anywhere. So you want to take your blade and kind of slide it between the play field and your cabinet, holding both ends, and you want to grab it, don't stick it to the wood, but kind of drag it back. You want to give some space between the nut and also the blade. So you kind of lay it so the glass track is exposed, and just kind of like stick it down a little bit, just on the top here, just to make sure that you have, you know, the clearance that you need and everything else. You don't want to stick it down too tight because you want to give it like ample like time to move around. If you gotta, you know, moving around, you don't want it to stick like to the plate, to the wood, you know, fully. So kind of just tack it down a little bit. Give a little space between here, the nut, and the blade. And again, you want to keep your glass track here. You want the blade to kind of go right under that. So you don't want to cover that up. So kind of lightly just, you know, tack it down so when you lift up your play field to look at the front, you're not going to, you know, scratch up the blade or, you know, in any way whack it with the play field. So I think we look pretty good. I'm going to take a look at the front here and just see how the front looks. I think it looks actually kind of good. So we'll just adjust it a little bit. And I think we're pretty good. So next we're going to put on the other side of the blade, and then we're going to do the wiring inside the cabinet, and then we're going to take a look at that and see how that goes. Okay, so now both sides of blades are on the pinball machine. So now what we're going to do is go inside the pinball machine in the front here by the coin door and get power to the game blades, or the power blades, and get power from the inside of the pinball machine so they can light up and do what they need to do. So that's going to be the next video now. And then one tip when you're putting these blades on, make sure you really like push them down, because that glue really's got to stick to the side of the wood. And if you don't like push it down a lot, it's going to pop up on you. So just keep applying it. Once you get to position on these blades, just get to position and really push down on those blades to get that glue to stick to the wood of the inside of the pinball machine. So let's open up the play field, go under the play field, and get power to these game blades. Okay, so now we have both of our game blades on, or power blades, whatever you want to call them. And we have the two ribbon cables coming from both sides. We have this side on your right, and then this side on your left, where the two ribbon cables are coming from the front of your power blades. So now we're going to install the hardware to how these actually turn on and get power to both sides of your game. And how that's done is we have the box here, and we're gonna probably mount it or just put it on this side of the plate of the cabinet, the right hand side. So we're just gonna kind of stick it in the corner there, kind of out of harm's way. So what I like to do is I like to run like my cables and stuff through these ties, like these kind of these connected you know, the ribbon or cable ties here that kind of protect the cables and clean everything up inside your cabinet. So I kind of just bend these out a little bit and just kind of stick the ribbon cable through it, just so they're not in the way of anything. You might want to do it down here on this side too of the cabinet. Just kind of tuck it, lift it, and kind of tuck it under. Just again, so they're out of the way. Don't crimp them, but you know, lay them flat, but kind of give it, you know, some slack in the cable too. But just kind of, you know, so they're cleaned up a little bit, but don't crimp it. So, all right, we have that side done. Now we're going to do the same for this side. We're just going to kind of go here and go that side. And we don't really have to go into that one, but we'll just kind of leave it hanging there. So now we have that side done. So we kind of cleaned everything up with the cables. So now what we have to do for these two ribbon cables that we have inside the cabinet is take this splitter here that we have. It has one side that goes into that silver box, and then it has two sides here for each side of the cable. So we're going to take our box and stick it in. It's keyed, so you can only put it in one way. It's keyed on the connector. So you just stick it in that way so it locks in there. So now you have your two sides. And while we're holding this box, so we don't have to, you know, mount it in the cabinet and everything like that, we're going to take our power cable to that box. And that's this black cable that I showed you before, with the end that goes to the front of the coin door. There's a power source over there. So this side with the two holes in it go to this side of the box for power. So this gives the box power to your blades. So we'll do it like that. We'll kind of put the switch and the power kind of facing outward here towards that way, and leave your ribbon cables that way. So now we'll take one side of the ribbon cable, now that we have our box connected, and key it so it only goes in one way to that connector. So we'll kind of clean it up in a minute. Then we'll take our other side of the ribbon cable to the blade and put it in this side of the connector of where it splits. Again, it's keyed again, so you can only do it one way. So you got that down. So now you have both sides of your blades in place for power. Now we're going to take the other side of the power to that box, which is here. And again, we could clean our cables up when we're done, which I'd probably do. I'm going to run it this way and run it through these wire ties here, just so everything is kind of cleaned up. We'll tuck it under, you know, these big power cables here, kind of like that. And we'll just kind of like get it away from our speaker. I like my cables to be pretty clean and tidy inside my cabinets, and you know, whatever I do, so I could find things later and things don't get tangled up or nothing like that. So we're just gonna take this cable, kind of stick it in there, stick it in there. So now we kind of have this cable cleaned up. So now this side is going to go, there's a cable on your left-hand side of the bottom of the cabinet, which is right here. It's right by your coin door, kind of. It's really the only cable there. It's kind of connected into something else already. So you want to open that cable up like that. So now you separated the two cables. Take your one end of what's coming from your box to your blades, and you need your splitter at this point. This part that came with the kit. So now you're going to take one side, the female side of that cable, and plug it into that side. I believe it could only go in one way. Yeah. So it could only go in one way, so you really can't mess it up. So now it's plugged into there. Now take the cable that you unplugged from your coin door originally, and that's going to go into the other side of the connector and plug it in to the other side of the connector. So now you have both sides of that connector that was by the coin door plugged into your cable, and then you have the other part of the cable that comes from your power source plugged into that cable. So you should be all good. So it should be powered up now and ready to go. So now that everything is plugged in, again, kind of clean up your cable so everything's kind of out of the way. I'm just going to kind of tuck everything down here so it's not in the way. So now let's turn on the cabinet and just see if the power blades come on. And then again, we'll clean up our cabling after we're done. But there's also, remember, there's a power source on this box that you need to turn on. So make sure it's flipped on. I think it's up for power. So if you're not getting power to your blades, check that first. So let's take a look and see how everything works. Okay, here's the power blades with the playfield down and with the lighting on the playfield properly turned on and everything else going. And they still look really good. You can still see the difference between non-lighted game blades and these lighted power blades. So again, they look really good. The quality of the design is really nice, and everything else really fits into place with these power blades. So it's a very heavy vinyl that they're printed on. They're very durable, and again, the lighting looks really, really good on them. So let's go and watch some gameplay of the power blades in action and see how they actually look.
Again. Oh yeah! I love that! Take your best shot.